With it, I put on so much weight, I can't just be comfortable. I can't wear shirts anymore that I used to wear. So it's a sign I have to really work on this, you know. It's it's going to be something that is a lot of work for me. So essentially, I put on 30 kilograms in a year, just over 12 months to 14 months, 14 months. So I have to do a lot to I have to do a lot to do this. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. I've been talking about all this stuff for a long time, and obviously I've got so many things that make it everything difficult to achieve, you know, things I want to achieve and keep you know, working towards goals, and you know, working on, you know, living a happy life, you know, and being productive and contributing to society, and you know, continuing my personal growth. All these things are very important. And awesome, happy hermits here. This is caught you live. I hope you have been doing okay. Nice to see you, looking good. Thanks, brother. Well, I've just been talking about how I'm so self-conscious. I can't wear my shirts anymore because I've put on so much weight. So, you know, thanks for your very kind comment. And you know, like, I've just got to. I just haven't been able to do much, and it's not easy. So, um, you know, I'm trying to learn as much as I can, even though I'm in this restricted sort of state, which is, you know, I look back over the last few weeks, and you know, I've learned a lot of things, which has been good. So even if I haven't achieved much, I can at least look back at what I've done. Happy Homer says we've all gotten a little fluffy. With the smiley face, you're okay. Thanks, mate. But you know, it gives, like, I'm excited to actually work on this now, and I obviously I got the topic in the title and description, and so I'll talk about that. But there's a few other things I'd like to talk about as well. Harmony Seekers here, awesome. So lovely to have you here, Harmony Seeker. I'm very sorry I haven't got back to your email. I saw it the other day, and I've just been so, things have been so difficult for me to actually function. So I'm sure you understand, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for understanding, like, my situation is. That's actually something I was wanting to talk about just in general, is communication and difficulties in communicating, you know, barriers to communication, and everyone sort of has different ways they deal with things, You know, I personally, trauma and depression and anxiety causes me to have difficulties with communication. And so, as an example, like, and this goes back to the very start of the internet for me, and getting my first email address, is I would get shocked and have difficulties in responding to people. Like, it would take me days or weeks to respond to an email. Sometimes I could do it straight away, and often I couldn't even read the email. Like, it would be there, and I'd be like, "Oh, there's an email I've got to read," and then I'd be not able to, like, deal with the communication, and it wasn't because of the anything to do with the person. It was nothing to do with the content of the communication between me and the other person. It was just merely the being confronted by the communicative aspect of the situation. And thank you, Harmony. Yeah, Harmony says yes, get it. Thank you. I knew you would. You're very understanding. So I would get this goes back to, this has essentially been a problem I've had with emails and text messages and private messages or direct messages in social media. So I'm very much of a. It used to be, there was a time with the phone that you could just pick up the phone and call someone, and then it got to a point where I would send someone a text message and say, "Hey, is it all right for me to call? Is now a good time to call?" Which is being considerate, and understanding. And it also, people that see that as my standard behavior also understand, maybe if they want to have a conversation with me, it's better to send a message and say, "Is it a good time to call?" And then I could answer, "Yeah, it's a great time to call. I'll call you back, and I'll call you in 5 minutes, or call me now," or whatever. Like, it's establishing a understanding that I have barriers and difficulties with communication, and if someone calls me and I can answer the phone, I'll answer the phone straight away. And if I can't, I'll call back, or I'll send a message and say, "Sorry, I'll call back in 5 minutes," or something like that. But that's an interesting sort of trait that I have with sort of difficulties with communication. As far as, it's not a bad thing. It's actually very considerate, and it's being understanding towards the other person. It's giving them the opportunity to say no, which is, to me, something very important. So if they're busy, if it's not the right time, if they've got something on their mind and they're not going to be available to have a conversation, they can just say, "Sorry, now's not the right time. I'll give you a call later in the week." And that's all that needs to be said. Happy Hermit says, "I feel like it's not natural to have such instant messages. Instant access to receiving and replying to things. It's like tech has forced this always available nonsense on us, if that makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And it's something that's magical, and it's something that's amazing, and it's precious. Um, in the last week, I've had several decent conversations with people through video chat, and they're friends from all over the world, and it's been very special and amazing for me to have that connection with people that care for me, and I care for them as well. It's a beautiful mutual thing, and in this difficult time, it's such a amazing thing to have that. And in all of those cases, there were a lot of this going on. For instance, one of the situations, I hadn't slept the night before, and I had 2 hours or 3 hours sleep, and it was at the wrong time. I had to cancel a conversation. The other one was I had an appointment. Well, it wasn't cancelled; it was postponed. The other one was I had an appointment, and I forgot that I'd double booked. That's something I have a problem with, accidentally double booking things. That's where calendars and things like that are very important, diaries. So I had to postpone another conversation. But I had these beautiful conversations right in a time when I needed to speak to people, and they sensed it too. They knew I was going through a difficult time, and they were there for me, which was I appreciate so much. And those conversations were all started by messages saying, "Is it okay to call? Is it the right time to call? I'll call back in. I'll call in 5 minutes." So there's this sort of pre-setting up of things so that you don't. It's not like you're giving the time to be flexible and not be pushed into something. And to go back to what you were saying, Happy Hermit, is that it creates an uneasiness. So things like you look at civilization and governments and histories of empires and things like that. Groups that brought us postal services that were enabled for the common person, the citizen, the general person, everyone. It is a very powerful thing. Like, you pay for it, but it's a service that is given. Yes, there's negative sides to these things, but as a human thing, it's amazing that and times in history when you could be, and it's still the same case today, is you can be homeless and still have a postal address, even if you got no fixed address, and you can still connect with the world. But then you look at the history of communication, and things took a lot of time. And so the people that developed the trading networks were working. They developed languages and religions and belief systems, governments and control systems, and obviously war is connected to all this stuff. And so there's good and bad in everything, but like it's confronting. And I mean, I look at, okay, so research into interesting things to do with communication and trade networks, and how people across different social stratification are able to both appreciate similar things, like with email in today and mobile phones and things like that. You know, in ancient Sumeria, common folk were able to make cuneiform tablets and give a tablet to someone to pass on to someone that they knew in another town, or a family that they've been separated from. And if they knew someone who was going on the trade route, they could pay for them to carry a tablet to, you know, to be passed on. And there were people that specialized in these things. It's good going off on tangents and just talking about stuff. So I'll try and keep up with the comments, and that'll help me just randomly talk about stuff, because it's good to just do that. It's not completely random. It has a narrative, and it has, but I don't know what I'm going to say next. So that's exciting, you know. I don't even know if I'm going to agree with what I say next, and that's exciting, because contemplative and critical thinking is something that, if you don't do it yourself yet, it's good to practice and to learn how to do. And then you can use that as a basis for navigating the world. You know, it can be, you can get stuck in critical theory. You can get stuck contemplating and just dreaming, you know, and thinking about things. And you can also be blind, or sorry, you can also be not adhering to what's there. Language, yeah, even language, yeah. So I get confronted with that. So communication, saying the wrong words, saying words that are offensive, not even understanding that words can be offensive, is something that most people don't even know. They don't understand that a euphemism or a term or a description can be offensive. And, you know, if it's not meant to be, then that's usually understood. And when it's done on purpose, that is highly offensive, you know. So it's interesting, that whole communication thing. You know, words are such powerful things. You know, they can liberate you, and they can enslave you. They can empower you or disempower you. You know, and we say things to ourselves. We create affirmations, and um, we have observations and judgments of the world that then create our own perception of the world, which then affects our behavior and how, or it, by what we do or what we don't do. And so, um, an interesting thing is, and this is going far off the topic, is that something that's been on my mind a lot is the differentiation between futility and nihilism. And nihilism to me seems more like people are choosing, or the individual chooses to give up or have no hope, or think that there's no chance, or not because of insurmountable challenges, or seemingly insurmountable challenges, but by having that as their outlook, that they've chosen that there is no hope. Whereas someone who has a futuristic or fatalistic outlook can be conditioned into that situation. So before I just keep chatting away, I'll try and keep reading the comments, because it's good when we have these chats, and I'm sort of getting carried away with topics, and I'll try and bring it back to communication and things like that. But Happy Hermit says, I myself have been sitting on an email from a friend for over a week, and also one message from a co-worker. There is this thing inside me that just can't be bothered by it right now. It's not just you. Yeah. That's, having that understanding too, that's, there's this painful sort of thing where I want to be, I want to try and create a habit for that stuff though. I want to try and, well, I don't want to try. I want to actually create this thing where I set aside a bit of time each day just for that purpose. And I used to do that in the past, and it has gotten, but I regress when I become insular, and things become too much, so but yeah, I appreciate that. It is difficult, that and look, I feel for people who that's their job, where they respond to hundreds of emails a day, that's all they do, constantly responding to emails, and that would be it's a lot of work. You're putting doing certain brain work is also physical work, because you're putting your body into a state of while you're having to, while you're having to do your work, you're also you're put in this heightened state, and having to do that over and over each day, it's very different to process work, where you might have to do something very delicate, but it's the same thing repeated. You can sort of drift off and think about things. You can't do that when you're having to, you know. But yeah, even and again, I'm not trying to compare it to having to deal with large numbers or um, you know, sort of more regular numbers that everyone has to deal with. And that's sort of going back to what you were saying, is that, you know, everyone has to deal with that, you know, and it's a difficult thing, you know, like I remember before mobile phones, you know, people used to call each other on the telephone and have a conversation, you know. And then mobile phones came out and they were so expensive that you'd call someone, you'd be like, "Yep, how you going? Yep, I'll see you in 5 minutes. All right, see ya," and you'd hang up, you know. And it's text messages were the same. Like text messages cost a lot of money when mobile phones were first introduced, and um, you know, especially if it was a long message, you couldn't send more than, you know, long before social media that had limited characters for how you could communicate. You know, text messages were, if you sent more than a page on this little phone, it would cost you twice. And then so like people were forced to be concise, and so it was understood. And then as text messages became free, not free, but like included in mobile phone plans, longer messages, and also things like smartphones where you could write longer messages, it changed. Um, I don't know where I was going with that, but I'm sure there's a point there. It's interesting, even if you don't have a point, just, you know, contemplating the different things, and what it was like at different times and how you reacted to it. The point can emerge much later after you've contemplated, and then you're able to find a narrative or a point to what you were trying to get at, but you didn't know at the time when you were thinking about these things. Kat says, "Hi all, how you going, Kat? So good you're here. It's always awesome." Kat's got the smiley face there. MJG says, "Good morning, Luke, Kat, Harmony, Hermit. Awesome." MJG, good morning to you too, my friend. So good. MJG's got the heart there as well. Harmony Seeker says, "I avoid the phone if I can. If it were not for my calendar, I would not do what I do. Those people sound very friendly. Where do you find those people which are flexible?" Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I think with that, like, people have gotten to know that that's you know, for large periods of my adult life, you know, and that's the era of mobile phones and internet, is that, you know, well, especially with the phone, like, I think it's just me. Maybe it's, you know, in some respects, you could say it's like people pleasing behavior to, you know, ask permission to call someone. You know, it used to be you just pick up the phone and you dial a number, you know, and they'll pick up, the phone rings. And that's fine, you know. if someone rings me and then I can answer the phone, I will answer the phone, and I appreciate that, and I prefer to speak to someone. Um, with I I guess maybe I sort of instigated that stuff just by and then it worked out that people understood and they appreciated it too. And when you communicate like that in those situations too, it's I could send those same people a message, text message, and say, I need to chat. Call me as soon as you can. Or and if something's an emergency, I'll say, there's an emergency. Can you call me when you can? But if it's not an emergency and I just need to speak to someone, like, I'll just say, look, I really need to talk as soon as you can. And so that's letting them know that, um, you know, I think it's a good thing. But then you think, um, um, people, you go back in time when people had to wait for a telegram or a letter, you know, or a correspondence. They would have to put in an inquiry and get a response from a from someone if they're trying to find out about something, because they can't even get in contact with the person, but they can get in contact with the place where they think they are, and they can help them out maybe. So I think, and then they have to wait months and months, and it's amazing how, like, things are so different now. Instant. You know, not instant. It's pretty close to instant. But yeah, that's calendars are good, aren't they? Harmony Seeker. You know, and you know, I've got to go buy a new calendar this year now, because I haven't. My old ones ran out, and I haven't bought one for this year yet. Um, and I've got the electronic calendars, which is great. Um, but I think it's good having both. Not even just that, like having a calendar, notebook, and like even two calendars. So you can have like a calendar, and this sort of goes to what my sort of talk about today is being about creating, the future that you want to get to, and also um, using your imagination and intellect to think about and um, ponder and work through what you want to do, so that you can do the things to get to that point, regardless of whether you actually get there or not. And that's another point which I'll get to, that there's nothing wrong with having lots of dreams, as long as you're not afraid to, or not going to get upset when your dreams don't become reality. So you can have a whole bunch of things to wish for, and sort of work towards, all the ones, really, like keep working on things, even if you know you think there's no point to it. It's if there's something that is going to help you by becoming smarter and learning more skills, then even if you don't attain that dream that you wanted to do, there'll be things associated with what you learn along the way, which you can attribute to other things or utilize within other things. So, um, it, again, going back to my what I was talking about earlier about nihilism and futility is that with futility, you, you you may have been conditioned to think that there isn't going to be a good outcome, and that's based on um, past experience, you know, interpersonal, or it could be personal, um, or it could be systemic, where things have basically caused you to lose faith in things, you know. Um, but that sort of wraps up what I was saying there, and I'd like to talk about that stuff more in the future at some point, and do it in a positive way, you know, constructive, positive way, because and maybe I can even do it tonight with talking about dreams and having ideas to do things, even if you don't ever get to that point where you can complete what you wanted to do. You know, not not getting upset at yourself for not achieving those things. You know, so Kat says, "Good morning, MJG," with the waving hands. Australiana's here. Australiana says hi. Australiana says, you could think yourself away or do your purpose process happens in a blender. So push yourself to get structure online in the day and in your weeks. You can do it. Thank you. That's a really good. That's a very sort of creating structure and pushing yourself is really important. You know, it's easy. It's easy to like just give up on things. It's too easy to do that. You know, and creating structure is a very what you create a bit of structure and then you'll achieve a lot. And yeah, that's a really good comment because um, and it's an interesting that's a really interesting point that um, process happens in a blender. That's a very interesting because you have this machine going and you have all these ingredients going in and getting there all just you know it's chaotic. It's really interesting. Yeah. MJG says hi, Australiana, with the waving hands. Australiana says words are your sword. Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Words are like you can defend yourself, you know, and you can protect yourself. You know, it's very powerful. Words are ultimately the most powerful thing in the universe. That's my opinion. You know, um, you have thought, which is connected to words, not necessarily words, but it's overtly based on words. You have action based on words, based on thought. So you could argue that thought is the creative element of the universe, but it's the words that actually create by doing. And so the words are like action, you know. So they can be so powerful. They can build and they can destroy. So being able to say the right things to yourself, say the right things to other people, know what to listen to with other people, um, that can be how you protect yourself against um, things that are so powerful. Words are so powerful. Australiana says, MJG, g'day. Australiana says, I have to stay upbeat, so I'll catch you later. Yeah, good. I'm sorry if I was not being upbeat. But I like your attitude of that, and I'm sorry if I don't want to be dragging people down. I want to be inspiring people, and so when I talk about negative things, I try and be positive if I can, but it's not. Sometimes I can dwell on the negative, and I have for a long time, and I have this thing. It's good to you can be an optimist and a realist at the same time, and you just got to know when to switch. And it's a very important thing. So again, words are so powerful. So if I'm saying something that's upsetting, you know or negative, or don't, for starters, I disagree. Think about what I'm saying. And if I'm like, it's all learning. It's all apply what you can. If something resonates, even if it resonates, give it another second chance to think about it, and like, you know that's a good thing to do. But again, going back to an earlier comment, is that you can overthink things. You can get stuck in contemplative thought. So it's good to free yourself from that. And there's ways to do that. You can do it physically and mentally, and that's the thing. So if you're stuck mentally, or if something's not right, change your location, and you can do the same thing mentally. Switch off the news or whatever. Whatever's the social media. Stop going to the social media. Whatever it is, just give it a break. So give yourself time to to regather your thoughts again. Australiana says, I joined the gym. I hate it, but I don't have to like it. Yeah, that's a good comment too. That's a really good comment. You know, look, look at me. I've got like my shirt's tight, and all my shirts I can't wear properly now. So I've hit that point where I have to lose weight, and I have to exercise, but I know it's going to be good for me. It's going to be good for me all over, like for everything, mentally, physically. It's going to help with my motivation and everything. I've been stuck in this sort of thing for a while now, and it's time for me to, be serious about this commitments to actually doing something, rather than doing little bits. I'm doing little bits, but it's not enough. Harmony Seeker says, I prefer message to voice chat or phone. I find expressing myself verbal difficult, but in writing I can say exactly what I think. So that's a really good comment. Text messages and emails, you can really clearly say what you need to say. When you're in a real-time conversation with someone, they could say something that's triggering, or you could even say something that's triggering yourself in response to something. It's not necessarily someone else, and then you could say the wrong thing just because you didn't have the time to say what you, or even if it's not the wrong thing, it's like just not really what you meant to say, and you didn't get a chance to, and then you wish and often I would do that where I'd have a conversation with someone and then I'd text them afterwards or message them, whatever, and say, I really meant this when I was talking about that. I just didn't really express it properly, and it's good to do as well. It's communication practice of following up on communication so that you can clarify what you meant in case there was misinterpretation. So it can be very, with real time, and that's why practicing communication is good. So when you're sort of limited with your social interaction, it makes things more difficult. So it's good that even though I'm somewhat isolated, I still get enough interaction, which is good. And it's quality interaction too, with really nice people. So Loratus Quadratus here. Awesome. Loratus Quadratus says, hey brother, I'm on my way to work. I'll send you a big hug with the heart. I'm far away and very busy, but I follow when I can. Oh, brother, so awesome to that you were here today. So, and I know you've said you've been really busy lately, which is really good. It's good being busy. So, there'll be good time sometime soon, and yeah, we'll anytime that you can join, and it's good. It's amazing. Hey, I remember I met you on the first live stream, and it was pretty cool. It was yeah. So look forward to chatting again soon. It's good to hear things are going good and you're keeping busy. So, like, that's really good to hear. You know, Australiana says, I see, yeah, you see my trauma is daily. Being online and spine smashed at 23. I'm 49 almost and swore I wouldn't sit this life out with this much daily pain. But I fell preggers on a holiday, so here I am. Yeah, that's full on. That's heavy. So that's it. And so that's a lot. That's a lot. Um, when you couple physical pain and emotional pain, that's some serious trauma. And you know, and it's like what you say, like in that sort of thing, it's good that you're sort of getting back to the gym, and like that's going to hopefully help with the pain. Um, I know, like when I became inactive in the last year and a bit, I had a lot of pain come back, physical pain, and so that hopefully when I start getting physical again, that pain will go. And that's it. I remember now, like, yeah, it's good having. It's amazing how much of a good attitude you have with all that, and that it's things that give you a reason to like having that thing where yeah, you gotta take me fishing sometime. Even though I don't eat fish, I'm vegetarian. But like, we'll go fishing, Australiana. Yeah, we'll do that sometime. Australiana says, if monkeys could talk, they would piss each other off. That's much more. We do our own heads in with too much internal dialogue. Yeah, absolutely. Self, uh, yeah, self defeatist and self sabotage and overthinking and um, yeah, we can be. I mean, there's a line where you have critical thinking and then you have being critical, and I think the difference is when you're critical, you remove allowances and you apply more judgment on things. And so there's nothing wrong with thinking, but there is a point with overthinking. And, it's, if we didn't, there is a thing where it is a fine line with some things because some things, if you didn't apply that much thought towards certain things, then you would never um, make it to where you want to go with something. Um, I think there's a sort of trick with that, is that you you might have complex thought and planning, but then if you look at anything that takes a long time, you have the amount of time that you spend thinking about it, and then you have the amount of time you spend working on it. And as long as you're not overthinking the whole time, so you can overthink, stop, step back, and then you know re like work on what you're trying to work on rather than thinking about it. So often with overthinking, you're spending time thinking and you're not doing. So if you're, you know, it's sort of simple in that respect, that if you're thinking too much and you're not doing, then you're not actually achieving. So it's good to think, but then get to that point where you're like, I need to actually action. You know, um, you can overdo as well and underthink. That's a very big problem that humans have as well. You know, is that overdo and underthink. And Australiana says, I want to see you all buff and doing those tiles. Being negative gets us the wrong attention. I'll be buff again. I used to have I used to be buff and not buff. I used to be a comfortable weight. I didn't mind a bit of a belly. You know, just I was more comfortable, and this extra weight, it's literally weight you're carrying as well. So it just makes everything more difficult. So um, I've talked about a lot of different things today, topics, and jumping around. Communication. So I sent a text message before I started the stream today, and then I got a message back. So I should actually just read it quickly. Speaking about, talking about. I'll respond to that later. I don't have to respond to it straight away. And it's rude for me to stop what I'm doing and with everyone here, and then. But that's a good example of that. I didn't ask permission for it. I just at least did it in a polite way. At least I explained my communication. I guess like the title for the video. It's something that I find interesting, and it's like not giving up on dreams is a big thing, and um, working towards them is an awesome thing. You um, Coming to terms with the fact that you m- may not achieve some of these dreams that you have. That's why it's better to have you know um, options and to be working for a couple of things, and that. But at the same time, you can still have your main focus. But and so you have these things that are um, things that you're interested in, and there's lots of examples where people might have had an interest in writing, and they're interested in literature, reading, and learning about the process, and they they thought about doing it, then but they might have written some stories, and you know um, the idea of doing it formally is too much. People tell them, no, you'll never succeed. Give up, don't worry about it. And they might have unfortunate examples where they try to share their work, and they don't get people responding to it, and that makes them think, oh, I'll give up now. But they don't completely give up. They still keep it there, and they might have other dreams as well. They might dream about opening a cafe or a restaurant. You know, um, Setting up a animal shelter. Or doing other charity sort of work, or um, building a house. You know, it could be starting a family, or getting married, or these things that mean something to the individual, and they might have people um, trying to convince them that it's not going to happen, or you know don't focus on that. But if you have these dreams and then you keep working on yourself and working on things, over time you become better and better at what you do, and then you know one day this person who thought, oh, they've given up on their dream of becoming a writer, but at some point they've got a bunch of short stories and a novel, and they're like, they don't know if it's any good, but they don't give up, and then eventually they go, look, I'll keep I'll give it a go, and maybe someone picks them up, gives them confidence to publish what they're going to do or something, and then suddenly everyone realizes this person was always a writer and that they were working towards that. It took them 20 years, you know, but they just kept working at it, and eventually it happened for them. Um, and that same thing could happen for anything, you know. You know, if it's like, oh, you have a dream to have your own cafe, restaurant, or something, even if people think that you'd never be good at running your own business like that, and it's not going to suit you. That's other people's perceptions. If it's something that you want to do, and just keep learning about it. You know, keep learning about cooking, and understand how the business works, and you know you don't have to like put everything into that as your main goal. Just keep it open as an option, and then because everything that you learn attributed to that particular thing will have bonus carry on effects to other aspects of your life. Just learning all about teaching yourself how to cook through learning about it, experimentation, learning recipes, the history of food, and it could be that one day you get to a point where you have an opportunity to actually start a small cafe, and then you get to write your own menu, and then people come to it, and then they enjoy the food. They're amazed at how good it tastes. It's not easy. You've invested all this money, but you're getting people are responding, and then after some difficult hard work in the beginning, it starts making enough profit that you can relax and you feel comfortable, and that hard work that you've pushed to actually change everything in your life to do the thing that you wanted to do is paying off at that point. Hey, Shaw's here. Awesome. So glad you're here. Hey, Shaw. Hey, Shaw says, hi, Luke. Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. Yeah, absolutely. Likewise. I'm just sort of free forming sort of bunch of things at the moment, So, yeah, creating, like the title for the video was like creating your way out of difficult situation, and at least you're giving it a go for starters, and if you're in a really difficult situation, that can be a liberating positive thing for you, is to not it's being optimistic and looking and finding hope, creating hope by imagining a better future, or a brighter future, or a better tomorrow, based on having that optimism. And so, using that example of the starting a cafe restaurant or something, it'd be like, well, people don't believe I can do it. That's one thing. Don't listen to those people. If you tell people your dreams, they'll try and stop you. So don't be afraid to tell people your dreams, as long as you understand they're going to try and stop you. So when they try and stop you, expect that, right? If they try and say, you'll never do that, you'll never make it, you can't do that, you're no good, don't listen to them. If they're going to try and stop you from pursuing something that you're interested in, and you haven't, like, especially if you've done a lot of research and learned about these things, their lack of faith in you doesn't mean you can't achieve this. You can still do it, and you can prove them wrong. In fact, it's better to prove them wrong. It may take time, but yeah, if you, it's easier to just do something and then show people this is what you're doing. You do that, they'll probably tell you, "Oh, you're silly. You're going to lose all your money. You've never run a restaurant or a cafe. Like, what are you doing? You don't know what you're doing. You've just gone and put yourself in debt, and it's all going to fail." And you're like, wow, this is what my so-called friends are telling me. And I got supportive friends now, but like I've had friends in the past that have just done that, and that's why I can't speak to them anymore, because um, they told me I was not capable and I'd never succeed. So what I should have done was just say, "You're wrong, or I'll prove you wrong." You know. Um, but people are often afraid to see other people succeed, so they'll it's their own insecurities that they're putting on you. They're afraid to start a cafe themselves. So they'll say to you, "Oh, that's too much. You know, you, you're not going to be able to manage that. It'll fail. You'll set yourself up for disaster." But it's their own insecurities, and they're jealous that you've got this dream that you want to do something. So it's just, if they're going to be like that when you're at the point where you're literally got a lease on a property and you're buying the equipment and you're resigned from your work and you're starting this thing, that's when you have to say, "Look, I can't, like, yep, I'm doing this. You can either come to my cafe and support my business, and if the food's no good, tell me, or you can, like, support me and so I would give up on things. Like, people would say, "Oh, that's a lot of work. You'll never get there. Oh, that's too much. Like that, that's way too much. You're never going to get there." And so I'd give up. Doesn't matter what I could actually achieve and prove to people that I was capable. They would instill futility into me by telling me I can't do something, and I'd give up and I wouldn't do it. Harmony Seeker says it's scary to dream when you are never allowed to. That's a really powerful comment, Harmony. When you're not allowed to, you know. Um, it's the most painful thing. We live in this world where there's so much opportunity, and it's getting even, like, right now is probably, you know, we live in a time where, you know, you can literally design and build your own electronic device and build it for yourself, even if you don't even know how to code or make circuit boards or do any like you can learn how to do any of the aspects, and you can actually build your own product that just 10, 20 years ago was only available for um, you know, big companies that had massive staff, you know. So even if people think, oh, you know, and that's just that, you know, we live at a time where we can all teach ourselves by learning through this ability that we have through, you know, the internet and libraries and publicly available knowledge, shared knowledge, to actually create things and to, you know, start a business or learn a craft, which then can become your profession, you know. But that's a really powerful comment, Harmony. Like, when you're not allowed to dream, just the thought of dreaming is painful. Just the thought of it is just like, so when you're in that situation, if you can get past that and dream, regardless of what people say. I was talking about, like, wanting to start a restaurant, a cafe, you know, and it's an interesting, because I do architectural drawings, design drawings. So this is a layout for a restaurant, common area, amphitheater. So that's a grass area, right? And that's like an amphitheater with a stage down here. That's like a storage entrance. That's the kitchen. That's a second stage. There's a stage there. This is undercover. This is a building. That's a building. That's a building. And that's building. This is outside, and this is outside. You may have like a cover here, but it's an outdoor thing. That's why you have a second stage here, just big enough for a small band. And these are tables and chairs. And this is a 3-leveled booth area that's got forward facing towards the stage. So any time of the day, rain, whatever, you know, you can fit 20, 30 people here in this area. If it's a nice sunny day, you can have a couple of extra chairs all out here on this flat area here. And this is a big grassy area. So you could have marquees and tables and chairs and all that stuff there. So this place could, you know, you could have a couple of hundred people there, you know, or 10 to 50 people comfortably, you know. And it's not a big area, you know. That's like, you know, not much bigger than a house block. So even if people tell me, like, oh, you know, oh, you never be able to run a business like that, it's too complicated, you know, good at it, you know. Yeah, but like, I can at least dream, you know what I mean? It's like this is a plan for a dojo, a shed, shared dojo for all martial arts. Just, a dream. I can do this without someone telling me no. So there's the entrance. There might be a few changes. So there's the entrance there, right? So you have a covered area here and a covered area there, and a rock sculpture garden there, and the open air practice area there, and you've got a tower here, and you've got the main dojo there. And so here's the covered area, and there, so that's an archery range there. And that's the that's the range there. Yeah, you see it? You can see it. No one's telling me no. Does it matter if this ever gets built? Doesn't matter. That's another drawing of it. And you can actually see that archery targets under the cover. It's got a nice big open area there. So here's some of the concepts for the cabins that I want to have for the havens, for like healing center. So you can have, it's another amphitheater here. So here's something that I'm going to actually do soon. I'm going to build a pop-out camper for the back of my ute. So that's something I'm going to build soon. So it slides out. That's the tailgate. And that's the top view. Doesn't show much, but this will be like something that I do. I'll do videos of this as I build it. It's not going to cost much at all. Aisha says, I worry my dreams are too farfulous, wacky to manifest. Don't be afraid of that. Like, have realistic dreams, but have like dreams that are dreaming big. Like, there's nothing wrong with dreaming big. Have lots of dreams and work towards as many of them as you can. Don't have so many that you can't achieve any of them, but like, I had this, I had dreams of learning how to do traditional carpentry, traditional framing. And, I bought the tools to do this. So I've got all the tools to build this structure. So it's a grass roof too, so it stays nice and cool. And I learned how to do a lot of the techniques. So I haven't got to the point where I've made a large frame yet, but I've actually gotten halfway along, and that's big dreams. But I've actually gotten to a point where I have achieved a certain degree of that, and I started off with nothing, and now I've got all the planes and chisels and draw knives and auger bits and braces and files and clamps, levels. I've got all the tools I need now. And I've had experience where I've actually gone from having nothing to buying the tools to using the tools, learning how to sharpen them and use them, and building stuff with them. Just because I haven't done anything for a while doesn't mean I'm not going to be able to get back to it. And it seemed like it was one of those things that was a little bit too far for me. And it wasn't, because I actually achieved some pretty cool things. And it's not wasted. So I look forward to actually taking it further and you know, um, but yeah, that was a great example showing that the coffee shop plan that I've got here, because it was just on my mind that I've got heaps of ideas like that. You can say, "Oh, what's that? That's nothing." But yeah, look, the layout is so important. I've thought about this. People think, "Oh, you don't know what you're doing." Well, I do. I've counted out the number of chairs, number of seats. I can calculate how many people are in this section, how many people are in this section, how you can possibly get from here to there if you're service and you're taking food from the kitchen to the tables and chairs. You know how this amphitheater area here can still be. These booths are facing this way, but there'll still be a few people that can face the amphitheater, and all these chairs, all this here can be then utilized for here. So it's another layer that's up higher, you know. And the way that this is set up too is that you can operate this business. This can have table here too when the stage is not being used. So this business could operate with 5 or 10 people there as customers. And then when it's busy, you could have a band here, right? And this could all be filled with people, but it's not massive. It's not like 50 people would be its maximum. And then there'd be maybe 150, 200 here when you have a larger event. If you've got a theatre thing or music band, an outdoor experience. But then it's there, you can have both going on. This could be here operating, and then you have an event here at a certain time, and then whoever stays goes back to here or whatever. This. So just keep learning how to do things. There's nothing like, there are barriers that we have in what we can achieve, but like, if you just keep working towards these things, eventually, like, you'll get there. Um, but yeah, look, don't be afraid. Are you sure to have these wacky dreams? Have have ones that are have like moderate ones. And this is the thing that really gets me, is like, in the past, I will have said to people, "Oh, I'd love to do this. This is what I want to do. I'm going to do this," and they'll shut me down. They'll tell me I'm no good. That it's a waste of time. It's ridiculous. I'll never get there. I'll fail, and then I give up. And then I get angry at myself for giving up, and I get angry at the other people for putting me down. And it's not. So that's when I realize it's better to not tell people your dreams because they'll shut you down. But then at the same time, I I haven't completely stopped doing that, but I've become more reserved. But I haven't stopped doing that. I want to start this charity. I'll keep working at it. I don't care if it doesn't happen. I'm going to keep working at it. I'm not going to let people tell me it's not going to happen. If someone says that, I'll say, well, that's your opinion. And it's pretty sad that you're wanting to tell me I can't do something. And you know, but having options for these multiple dreams, so if I have it could be that I want to be a musician and play music. Well, if I have, you know, that has been a dream for me in the past. But I know that I can get back and keep playing music, and it's not about being successful. It's almost impossible, to actually have a career in music anyway. So once you understand that you've got to really do it for the love of it, doesn't mean that you can't have a career. Like, and people who are people who dedicate their life to be a musician should have a comfortable life if they put in the hard work. Um, Obviously, we live in this world where things are always trying to get taken away from us um, for other people's benefit. So musicians are taken advantage of. You doesn't mean I'm not going to give up on being a musician and playing music in front of people or for people. So even though I've tried, got close to success and failed, I'm not going to give up. I'm giving it another go, and that's one of my dreams. But yeah, having multiple things that. So when we were kids and we were growing up, everyone was like, "Well, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I wanted to be an archaeologist. That was at one point that was the thing I wanted to do. Guess what I'm doing today? I'm researching ancient civilizations and lost civilizations and um, geology, geography, anthropology. You know, bit by bit, I am becoming an archaeologist, even if it's through my my personal study. You know what I mean? But the point I was trying to make was is with you get overwhelmed when we get into high school. We're given all these different subjects to study, and you put like, whoa, that's going to decide where you go and stuff. And so there's all this pressure put on that. And then what are you going to study after school? At university or whatever, or are you even going to get to university? So that's another way of selecting out and quashing people's dreams. That society puts these pressures on us. Um, People don't necessarily know what they want to do at that point, and in life, and whether going to university is going to be good for them or not. And even if they want to go to university, the system might be set up to actually give preference to certain percentage of the people, and everyone else, it's difficult to get a position to study, and then those that get to university might have difficulty getting into a career in the stuff that they've studied. It's all difficult. It's not easy, and it's not people's fault for not knowing what they wanted to do. In a lot of cases, you might have to try it out to see. Could be that there's something they're passionate about, but then when they get to study it formally or see what it's like in the world of that field, they realize that they don't want to have anything to do with that, and then they leave it. So that's another thing to understand with dreams, is that you can work towards a dream, and then once you get towards this thing that you wanted to do, you didn't know that that's the way it was until you get to that point, and it's not a waste. Luckily, when we learn things in a particular field, we can apply the skills that we've learned from that to something else. If not directly, indirectly, through just going through the process of just learning things in that learning skills. You're going to be able to learn other skills, and you're actually wiser because you know what you don't want to. You know where you don't want to work at that point. So ideally, you find somewhere where you agree with the morality and the trajectory of the industry or the field, and then you can then dedicate your life and specialize in that one thing. Or you can just, I had status anxiety from having so many different jobs in my life, jumping around from job to job, and then also them being bottom of the rung jobs, nothing that would ever have upward mobility. So I was always doing this extra work that, the lackey of the factory, the guy that does the bins and drives everywhere and does everything, and not going to get the raise or the promotion, and that becomes something that you think, oh well, I'm in the wrong field, but I learned a lot of skills from and stoicism from being that person. Yeah, you can say, oh, right now I'm not doing much in my life, but I am doing enough, and I know that this year there's going to be a lot more happening. I'm going to get more active and busy with a lot of things. Aisha says, me too, much uncomfortable and so scary to step into a void. I held back for decades on my false beliefs. That's it. Hey, like, it's difficult. You create these barriers that don't necessarily need to be there. Aisha continues, yeah, it takes community and active human interaction to heal from CPTSD. Your plans are valid. Thank you so much. I'll keep working on that. Hey, I'm not going to give up on this idea. This week, I'm going to contact not-for-profit that helps charities set up and that. So I'm going to inquire about having a meeting with them. Done a lot of research in the requirements, the legalities and requirements. So, because the idea is that, we need to start the charity as soon as possible, so that we can start with the idea to actually start operating and doing stuff at a set time, 3 to 5 years time, or earlier, but most likely and realistically give it time to actually, because what I've got a 3-year plan, 5-year, 10-year, 50, 100, like, and keeps going. So you roll things out as you can, once you've got to a point, then you can go to the next thing, MJG says nice. MJG also says hi, are you? He says hi, MJG. MJG says I play Sims. Oh, sorry. Are you sure? Says I play Sims just to build and create my own Joe. That's pretty cool. Well, or your own job, or your own life, like your own dream of what you want. Create a character. Create your own character. It's a great analogy, and yeah, that's really cool. Mama Bear's here. Awesome. How you going, Mama Bear? Mama Bear says, "Yeah, I caught the live. Much love to all. Much love, Mama Bear." Mama Bear says, "Indiana Jones, lol." there's probably a few good Indiana Jones references to that, Yeah, don't give up on your dreams. He sure says, "Hello, Mama Bear." Mama Bear says, "Hi, are you?" He sure says, "It's never a failure, just a process." That's a really good. I like that. Yeah. You got to learn from these things, and it's what makes us stronger. It makes us wiser. Experience is something that's, it's, when things work out, when you have things work out without failure, or you can deal with crisis and difficulty and still achieve ongoing, that's when you've got confidence and you've in yourself, and you've got inherent confidence based on your skills. So you can still be unsure about things, but like deep down, you know that you can still do it, and that's can be the thing that helps you get the task accomplished or deal with the crisis or the situation. And when you get to that point where you're able, within whatever framework or limits that you give yourself, so um, if it's your work or your business, then it's like the scope of what you know that you can achieve. You're not going to take on stuff that's way too far out of your league, but it can be a little bit out of what you do, and it's challenging you, but you can, um, just keep it. You know that if you're at that point where you're able to continually achieve without too much failure, it means you've already gone through lots of failures to get to that point. And this is something that's said often, very often. You got to fail in order to succeed. And also accepting a certain amount of failure within ongoing as part of the process as well. It makes things, it makes failure less of a failure because you've come to terms with it and you accept it. You don't, it still gives you a reason to not have that same thing happen next time, because it's not nice. You don't want it. You want things to run smooth. You don't want to lose money on something. You don't want to fail or to have to throw things away, start again. But when things don't work out, then it's not such a bad thing, because then you go, well, next time it'll be better. And you can also go, well, this is the first time this happened, and since I've done 50 jobs and this is the first time it failed, so it was the 51st one that failed, there was 50 that were good. So, and it can be a higher rate than that, but if that's part of the thing, like farmers that put in fields, they plant their fields and they might have no success that year, and then the next year, and they can go a couple of years where nothing works until they get a good year. They make enough profit, and it balances out those years where they made nothing. So they have that patience and determination to just keep going, because it can get better. Doesn't always work out. It can stay bad for years and years, and then the farmer has to sell their land because they owe too much money to the bank because they haven't made the profit. But that doesn't always happen. And when it does, it's sad, but it's part of, again, it's part of the thing. Farmers know that that's what is the thing. So, there's risk involved with changing what you're doing. There's risk involved in putting in costs and paying for things that may not have dividend or return. But then you have to create, there's a risk that's involved with that, but you can also see it as investing in the chance of that, and putting in that effort, so. Aishaw says, hello, Mama Bear. Mama Bear says, hi, are you? He says, it's never a failure, just process. Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. I think I read that one. Mama Bear says, yeah, you've learned heaps, with the smiley face. That's awesome. That is good. Like that, that gives me confidence, Aishaw says, I literally play to build and decorate. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great thing. And that goes back to, and I think you're referring to Sims, and that sort of thing, is that creating creating things is it can help. And dream big, but also don't just dream one dream. Dream a bunch of things. So different times. I remember at one time I was out of work and I was like, and this is similar to my dream of having a cafe restaurant. I was like, I'm going to build a soup cart, and I revisited that again last year, and then I didn't end up making the soup. I was going to make soup, and I just had too much on. But I was going to make soup and give it out to people that are living rough, and as the seasons change and it comes into soup weather, maybe I can revisit that idea for this year. It'd be worth. But yeah, I thought about having a soup kitchen, not a soup kitchen, a soup cart, and that I thought about it a lot, because it's easy for someone to say, "Oh, that's silly. You'll never make money off that." Why not? They have to actually go and try it. Like, they have to go and try that. Go, if someone says that to you, then you say, "Okay, you go and start a soup cart and tell me it didn't work, and then tell me I can't do it. Don't just tell me I can't do this." And this is the thing, is if you have something that's your dream and you want to share it with other people, whether it's academic education, or business or work or family, people should support you on it, but it can make you stronger when people say no. That's no, but yeah, same thing. When I told people about my ideas, I had several times over the last 20 years, I was like, I want to start a soup cart. And it's my fault for not doing it, right? But when I told people about it, they shut me down and told me I was stupid. So I didn't do it. And then I got angry about it. And I'd even designed carts and looked at the cost of everything and how to actually get this, where you can actually set up a soup cart, how much money you can profit on something if you are there for so many hours, what sort of events and festivals you can take your soup cart to. It's obviously going to be limited, but it's cheaper. You could I calculated how much money I could make in a 6-hour period, and the idea was to take your soup cart with your 2 large pots of soup. You could have a third pot, but it's not cooking yet, depending on how long you're going to be there. But if you just have 2, both could be pre-cooked, or you could cook them when you're there as you're setting up. Or you can have one cooked and the other one is you're making it as you go. But if you have 2 containers that have got so much liquid in it, you can calculate how many cups of soup you can make, and then how cheap you can sell it to give people some nourishing food. If you want to have bread rolls, get them wholesale from a bakery, or not. It could be simple. It could just be a cup of soup. It's the most simplest thing. what's to say you can't do that? And what's wrong with having that as a dream? So, and that's what I faced. I went from, oh, I'd love to set up a cafe restaurant. Oh no, you that'll never work for you. And then, oh, I want to set up a soup cart, and then take it to festivals and events, and I could do weddings and private parties and things like that. I only have to work a couple of days a week, and I'd possibly earn enough money to live. Oh no, that's silly. It'll fail. Another thing that really affected me was a few years ago. I did it's happened a few times, where I've tried to start a business, and I've reached out to lots of people, and um, this happened over a year ago, roughly. No, it was less than a year ago, but um, and I only got two people contact me out of all the people I contacted. Um, and that was upsetting. And a couple of years before that, I had um, a thing where I was wanting to record my song I'd written on guitar, and it meant a lot to me, and it was part of a whole healing thing. Again, I got no support from it, and that gave me that really taught me something, which is I did get some support from it, but all the people that I expected to get support from were just like silent, and I was just like, couldn't get it, couldn't get it. But it makes me sort of understand not to expect that, or not to expect. That's why I love this community, is that everyone's so supporting. And you know I've had so much support from everyone, encouragement and support, and I love that, and I appreciate you all so much. So thank you all. A Shaw says, with a clear identify and sense of strength, yes, I'd continue with growth sometime. A Shaw says, it motivates me to continue with my understanding of what I can control and what I can't control. Yeah, that is good. So you're always learning from all of this stuff. You're always learning. It's it's amazing what you can when you appreciate, and that's where failure is such a precious thing that you can learn from it. Because not only do you learn to not fail at that particular thing, once you've come to terms with the risks and the costs and liabilities and limits, but then you overcome that by getting better or stronger or wiser through that process. You'll also carry that over to so many other things, something separate, and you can go back and go, yeah, I'll do this way because of what I learned from that, and it works. So Aisha says it motivates me to continue with my understanding of. Oh yeah, no, sorry, I read that one, but that's good to read that again. It motivates me to continue with my understanding of what I can control and what I can't control. So. Aisha says, make it a cafe soup with poetry, comedy, karaoke, and in the present moment. That's a beautiful idea. I'm going to have to think about that. That's awesome. You could have the whole lot and still have like a cart that you wheel in. Yeah, I like that. It's been a good chat tonight. Like, I hope I wasn't negative. You know, I feel bad talking about that stuff, but you know, stuff like that where yeah, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago now, 2.5 years ago, I was going through difficult times. 2 years ago, I was going through difficult times, and I was creating my way out of a difficult situation, and I dreamed. I did get support from a few people. You know what? I didn't stop what I was doing. So, you know, I actually managed to, I kept going with it. So, regardless of not getting the support, it didn't stop me. And I just kept making the music because I had the guitars. The dream was to actually have people support my project so I could buy a guitar to play the song properly and maybe some recording equipment, even though I had some. And I got just enough money to buy one guitar and 3 sets of strings. And how good is that? I had people support me that it was a cheap secondhand guitar, but it still was good, right? And I got 3 sets of strings. They're still on those guitars there, you know. So, and I learned from that don't give up on your dreams. And if people aren't wanting to support your dreams, don't give up on them. Just keep working at it, you know. And if you fail and you spent all this money, that's fine. You've learned from that yourself. But at least you tried, you know, at least you gave it a go, and you can learn from. Even if you fail, you're still going to learn in the future. You're still going to achieve something from what you went through that process. You gave it a go, you know. There's nothing worse than giving up and not trying. So, like, I might keep the stream going for a little bit longer. I might even pick up my guitar because I was talking about the guitar. And but I need a break for a minute. I'll be back in 2 minutes. So. Usually the G string's always out. I just thought I'd get the guitar just because I got to actually start playing. So if I sit here and even if I just feel uncomfortable, it's good for me because See, I haven't played guitar for so long. I feel uncoached, and I've forgotten so much, you know. But that doesn't mean it's not there still. I just have to find it again. So this is really good for me to just. This is how I practice, you know. So. So you just when I practice, I just sometimes it's doing something just different. So rather than trying to use all of your fingers, you're just using your thumb. Using all your fingers. Sometimes it's like finding places. Just discovering chords. Other times it's embellishing mistakes. So like, and then you can actually get good at it. you get more control over what you're doing. Scales are something that I'm going to learn much more. It's a lovely comment there, are you sure? Yes. So even though I can't do the scales, you know, see that? Or hear that? Yeah, that's a combination of like semi-muted and it's taking something that can be a mistake and actually making it part of your plan. Even that. That. Like. So I haven't played for so long. My hand is just so uncoordinated. So sometimes I'll just sit here and just do this. Both hands. Two fingers on one hand. sometimes I'll just do this for half an hour. Thanks, Aisha and MJG. They're beautiful comments. So all those little things, like there's impurities in that, but it's pure, and it's from the mistakes that I learned to play. So that. So when I'm just practicing, you know. So like, there's no mistakes you can make really, because it's all learning. One thing with, you know, you don't want to, once you don't want to get stuck in a habit that's going to be not like one habit I have is not. I don't play with my whole. I need to maybe get some lessons to get my placement right. But I spent a lot of time just getting used to how difficult it is to actually get the right note, you know. So So all that stuff just comes from doing this. Just doesn't always sound right, but it doesn't matter. Even that. You so like my nails got to grow out a little bit longer. I love those messages. Are you sure says you're brave and encouraging to watch. I'm tears watching you reconnect and beauty of being human. Thank you so much. That's MJG says pure. That's beautiful. Are you sure says, and your hands and muscles will hurt terribly in the beginning. New activities had me learning to self-soothe because it hurt so much temporarily. Yeah, that's a big thing, isn't it? Luckily, I don't get the sore fingertips because I've been playing guitar for so long. When I stop playing, I don't get the calluses anymore. But I still get sore, especially posture and things like that. MJG says you're pure too. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. I sure says the self-awareness is present and lovely. Thank you. MJG says yes. Yeah, very difficult. And that's like referring to like what I was talking about when I was playing before. Yes, MJG says difficult to play guitar. Yes, it is. Yes, and it. I love how you can get so much. So I've got to practice scales a lot. Even that, if you can repeat that sound. So if you can control those things, that you can give so much depth to the sound. Thanks for being here, MJG. Much love to you. MJG says, I got to make lunch. See you next time. Wish you all have pleasant moments today or tonight. Love to you all. Thank you so much, MJG. She sends her love to everyone. I, yeah. See, I'm not even moving this hand. I'm just. This is fun. Mama Bear says, "Bye, MJG," with the hearts and the hands together. Are sure says, "Be well, MJG." Sometimes I just practice stretching. And just sometimes it's tone. I neglect playing scales. One thing is the bad habits I have. So if I was to get lessons, they would tell me, I do have bad habits with but I'm just practicing. So I don't care if anyone makes comments on what I'm doing because I'm practicing. I'm just getting used to. I appreciate the lovely comments everyone's been saying to me here in the chat. What I'm saying is, I'm just practicing. I know that I've got a long way to go to be, but I love, I practice mistakes. get used to it. You get being able to actually play. Hear the difference in that. So that's just the one note being muted in different ways. So if you can do that while you're playing other notes, it just gives you so much more you can do. And so yeah, that's a habit, is playing with the thumb. So it's so difficult to play clean, you know, and so I embrace the fact that it's not easy. And then that makes it easier then by learning how to play through the, yeah, just through the, I can just sit and just do this for hours. And because I haven't played for properly for a year and a half now, both my hands are disconnected in that way. That's why you'll see or hear one. I might be focusing on just one, the strumming hand or the fingering hand. I feel so uncoordinated. Just if you're learning an instrument, don't be afraid to just get to know where the sounds are. There's so much you can. So for the things that I lack with my musical ability, I try and make up with feeling and timbre and tonality. Even that, where it's sloppy, but I don't mind the buzz. I'm actually part of it. And then when I do play clean, it stands out against the buzz. Thank you for everyone just listening to me practice tonight. I just sit here making these noises. There's nothing that you learn about it. Hear that? So this is the beauty of this too, is that when I get practicing again, I'll actually be able to play songs. At the moment, I can't really play songs because it's been that long since I've played. So this is really important for me to get back. And if you're thinking about picking up a musical instrument, this is a great way to just get accustomed to it all. It's just that, it's like, these are the best things to just practice with. It's just that. That's a classic. You keep doing this, and then eventually you become really good at understanding. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but like, it's one of the tricks. So I'll do a stream in a couple of months once I've been playing for a while, and you'll hear where the difference between just sitting here. I'm uncoordinated. I can't connect the two hands properly together. I can only play something for so long. Thank you for being here, everyone. You know, so yeah, in time, once I've again, like I can't strum like I used to strum, so I've got to learn how to do it again. Can't play scales. But I will. I'll get there. So this was a good thing for me to do, to just pick up the guitar and not be afraid to just sit here and strum the guitar, not trying to make sounds. Well, trying to make sounds, not trying to make songs. But this is how I learn. So when you really master it, after playing the mistakes, you can either learn from the mistakes or fine tune the sound. So, yeah. I'll practice and I'll get good and I'll play some songs for you all next time. If you want to, it's just, I mean, this is a great example. Is that if you want to learn to play flamenco, you got to understand that you're gonna have to spend hours and hours just doing this. Getting to know the difference. What's usable, what's permissible, what sounds good, what doesn't sound good. What's fast, what's slow, what's delicate. I can sit here for hours doing this, and I've already sat here for a while. All this stuff, it's not just getting to know this, where things are, sounds, to play nice and neat. It's also helping with rhythm. May not seem like it, but it is. Starting to get out of tune. Thanks for being here tonight, being here with me while I did that. I understand it's, from my perspective, I feel I can sit here for hours just doing this, but like, this is practicing, and usually you practice guitar on your own, you don't do it in front of people. But there's different ways to practice, because I haven't played guitar for so long. I've got to practice just holding the guitar and making sounds. The more comfortable you get with everything, and that comes from just not worrying about actually trying to play anything. Even if you're not trying to get proper positions. It's not necessarily going to sound right, but I'm practicing, I'm stretching, and then so I can then apply that and refine it. So I look forward to basically rediscovering guitar, learning some pieces of music that I've been wanting to learn for a while. Going back to learning how to play all the songs I used to play as well. I'm so weak. I can feel the weakness in my hands. Not only weak as in strength, but also dexterity. And I actually thought I was never going to play guitar again a year ago. This time last year, I thought I'd never be able to play guitar again. So, and I barely haven't, but at least this is showing that I can pick it up and give it a go. And it will take time. It's getting out of tune. being out, getting the guitar to play those overtones and those notes, those you learn how to get those sounds by playing mistakes, by playing how to, pushing it to its limit. I'm limited in what I can do, so I'm trying to get the most out of it. I'm trying to use it as an expressive thing. It's also sad when I've been much better at guitar in the past because I've stopped playing guitar for so long. I have to learn again. So it makes you become humble in that. I've got to practice. I've got to pick up the guitar. I think I picked it up last week I played for an hour or two. But this is why I'm so uncoordinated. So this would normally be like embarrassing to a guitarist to sit here and just do this. But I'm not afraid to do it. Hear that? So in order to be able to play nice notes and multiple notes and that include the artifacts of the strumming, you have to be able to just sit here and just you got to play stuff that doesn't sound right until you make it sound right. Hopefully, by doing this, thank you, Mama Bear. Mama Bear says you're awesome. Thank you so much. So it'll be exciting for me to sit here and play a full song and sing it even, maybe. That'd be nice. That's another thing I've got to practice is tremolo. It's so difficult. So you can sit here and just play one note on one string. Right? With 3 fingers. Two fingers. My nails are like not right yet, so they get caught. So uncoordinated. Can't even play like. But you know what? I don't care. Like, it's because I haven't played for so long. So if you start picking up an instrument, just playing a single note. My nails are really affecting this. I probably should stop trying with the tremolo because it is frustrating. So if you don't have, I haven't trimmed my nails yet, and so the corners, it catches on the corners. It's been so much fun tonight. Like, I know that once I started playing guitar, it all became about that, but this is a music lesson. If you ever want to pick up a musical instrument, just sit there and make noise with it. Yeah, just don't be afraid to just sit there, and you can't do this when you're playing in front of people like I'm doing now. Like, you know, there's so many ways you can make sounds, and it's unless you know, especially if you use a pick, like you're going to have less options. But My nails are very bad. Thank you for being here with me tonight. This is the best thing about this is you get to hear me just make bad noises with my guitar, and maybe they don't sound so bad. There's nothing that's a coherent song or anything, but that's fine. I'm practicing. Thanks everyone for being here tonight. I appreciated being able to just do that, and it inspires me to continue on with playing. See, I put it down, I picked it up again. It's good just holding a guitar and Rhythm. All my rhythm's off. You can hear that. I can't get both hands together. It'll get there. It'll get there. I'll just keep practicing, eh? So I appreciate everyone being here and just hearing me through that. You know, if you've never practiced guitar or sat with someone who's practiced guitar, usually you don't even get a chance to do that because people practicing, especially if you're doing stuff like what I was doing tonight, like people don't do that in front of other people because they don't want people to hear them doing those things. But I'm trying to say that this is how you can get better, is by just sitting there and playing, just strumming. You know, other times you practice, you might just do chords. Other times you might just do scales or just do tremolos. Sometimes you mix it up, arpeggios. You know, my biggest thing is not playing for so long that when I do pick it up, it takes me ages to get back to where I was. So I would love to pick up the guitar in a future stream and really play, which would be exciting for me to do. And I've got the confidence. If I can do this, I can actually play a proper song. You know, once I'm back to where I was at. But don't be afraid to just not sound right. It takes a long time to. You know, especially with a guitar like a classical guitar where you've got all the overtones. You know, you get to know where the sounds are by playing them. You know. It's all beneficial. It's rhythm, relaxing. Sorry, I just get carried away. I could do this for hours. It's, you know, just then I was thinking about I was changing my hand position, and then I was thinking about how much pressure I was putting down, and I wasn't relaxed. These things have really got nothing to do with, you think have nothing to do with playing a song, but they do. You know, yeah. Thanks. I look forward to like sitting here and playing a proper song sometime, and you know, you'll hear from the difference from tonight to in a couple of months when I'm been playing guitar for a while, you'll hear that difference. And it's been important for me, and I appreciate you all for your encouragement and being here with me tonight for this. You know, so whatever, if it's a musical instrument, whatever it is, just pick it up and make the sounds. I've got an ocarina here. You don't know how to play it. Play it. You hear someone who knows how to play an ocarina, and that sounds beautiful. Got another one. This one's better. Just pick up an instrument with it. See what I'm saying? There we go. I don't know how to play the tin whistle, but I'll learn how to play it, and I'll learn a song. So don't be afraid to just pick something up and play it, and for it to sound not right. Of course, it's not going to sound right until you've been playing it for like years, you know? So I like this, how the ocarina's got that windy sound. Yeah. I'll end the stream now, but thanks everyone for being here. Have a good night and have an awesome week. And I appreciate everyone just listening to me talk about making noise on a guitar and not being afraid to sound not right, because it's going to sound not right until it sounds right, and then when it does, it sounds beautiful. So look forward to catching up again soon. Much love to everyone.